Greetings everyone. Happy Monday, and there's nothing like the start of the week to end something that is weak. And that's all this talk about all positive training. So I'm going to wrap it up today so we can move on to bigger and better things that we should be discussing instead of some methodology that is unproven other than to prove that it doesn't work. So let me talk to you about my final point. The more research that is conducted on the behavior of non-primates, the more it is revealed how simple those behaviors are. How simple. You've heard me say before, probably a million times in other videos, animals know what they need to know. That's it, not what you need them to know, but what they need to know. And most of that knowing is surrounded by or centered on what it is I have to learn and what possession or what knowledge must I possess to know how to acquire food, water, a mate, how to protect my offspring, and also how to protect myself, how to avoid harm. And knowing that is the focus of your dog. Yeah, neuter them, spay them. We don't have to worry about the reproduction and the protection of our offspring. But we do need to focus on the acquisition of food. If you don't get that thing done, you're going to die. We need to focus on the ability to avoid harm. If you don't get that done, you could die. That plays so strongly into the hands of balanced training and not so much into all positive training. All positive training is centered around one thing, food. I mean, at the end of the day, you may say you pet your dog, you may say you play with your dog, you may say you use a toy, but it is centered around food, which is a one-dimensional approach. When your dog is being trained using food only, what they're not being trained to do is how to avoid harm. So if there's no sort of harm, no sort of correction at all involved in their training, then the harm that they do experience is outside the context of training. And they're ill-equipped to deal with it. You've not trained them how to deal with it, so they don't even have that. You also train them how to avoid it. It's just not part of their lives. Whereas real life, again, your animal is thinking about two things, food and how to avoid harm, how to avoid encountering something that could be very threatening to me. That's why when you watch my videos on anti-predatory inspection, it's the avoiding harm is so important to them that they will actually investigate something that they believe may be harmful to them just to learn more about it. But yet when we take an all positive approach, we don't introduce any sort of harm. And again, better, I don't need to preach this to you. We're not talking about the big harms where an animal actually gets hurt. We're talking about low-level corrections to even moderate-level corrections. The dog dictates that, not the trainer. But taking a one-dimensional approach and only focusing on food, how many of you have done that, have used a lot of food in your training, and what you find out real quickly is that this becomes the focus. In other words, I've had dogs on my left side, teaching them to heel on my left side. My bait pouch was on my right side, on my right hip. And what does this young dog focus on, or even this older dog that's new to training? How to get to the food. That's it. It focuses on how to get to my treat bag. I've had dogs circle around me when I sat down, when I stopped training to instruct the owner of the dog. Next thing you know, I look down and I have a dog tugging at my treat pouch. They're trying to open it themselves. So instead of focusing on the task at hand, they're focusing on the task of getting the darn treat. How do I get this out of here? My forebrain is all about this. Not about the surrounding area, not about the spatial distance between the two of us while we're healing, not about what is approaching me, what is coming up behind me. It's about the food. They simply are all about the food. And once the food is gone, that's it. Now they're confused. Now they've had no one to show them. And remember, dogs learn through mimicry and free exploration. Cause and effect, direct experience. They learn from it. I'm an avid reader, and you know that. I mention books all the time, research books, research articles. And one of my favorites is a book written by Adam McCloskey. In his book, Dog Evolution, Behavior, and Cognition. And I love the way, towards the end of the book, he eloquently states, thus, it is not self-evident why food should be used as a reward indiscriminately. Rather, the consideration of reward should be part of the thinking about the actual task and the context of collaboration. Hear that? He's a scientist. He studies this. He's not a dog trainer, and he more than admits so in his book. But as a scientist, he says, using a food as a reward indiscriminately, it is better to teach the animal to focus on the task at hand and also about the actual context of collaboration. That can be done through play. Dr. Nicola Rooney and John W.S. Bradshaw did a study on an experimental study of effects of play upon the dog-human relationship. And in short, what they found out is that dogs paid more attention to their owners if their owners played with them occasionally. It didn't mean after every time you sit correctly, after every time you lay down correctly, while you do a good walk, we're just going to stop and play. It just means you play. And you watch my videos on play. The importance of play. It's like taking getting 2 years of college all shoved into the context of play. You learn so many things from it. And they learned that dogs actually paid more attention to their owners when they were made to perform tasks, and when they performed a task properly, using all the methods of balanced training, and then play was a reward, they actually had dogs that paid more attention to their owners afterward than if they simply presented food. So, let that be some food for thought. And therefore, at this point here, the last thing I'm going to put out is, again, from Adam McCloskey. Friendship. He's talking about that friendship between you and your dog. And I think it applies to humans as well. Friendship comes at a cost. It does. It's a lot of give and take. It's a lot of taking when you don't want to take, and it's a lot of giving when you don't want to give. It is. Think about your own immediate family, your extended family, your friends. Hey, Bryan, can you help me move this Saturday? Oh, Lord. So I start thinking, what am I doing this Saturday? For real and not for real? And at the end of the day, you think 90 degrees, 4 flights of stairs. All right. Yes, sir. Count on me. I'm there for you, brother. Lean on me. Friendship comes at a cost. Give and take and give, do a lot of taking. It goes back and forth. And so to emphasize that, after he states friendship comes at a cost, he says researchers providing a methodologically funded description of dog behavior should inform dog owners that they need to learn to communicate with their dogs and invest time continuously in order to maintain a close relationship with their companion that contributes to mutual welfare. Telling you what, I love to give a dog a treat. It is so much fun. Oh my gosh, I love to teach tricks to Captain using a treat to other dogs. I love it. And I love to buy different types of treats. I like to see their reactions, see if they really like it. And I got a running debate as to what Captain likes the most. Is it those American slices, cheese? Is it marshmallows? Or is it popcorn? And I really haven't quite figured out just yet which one he likes the most. But don't think for a second that I just don't find incredible joy giving those treats to my dog. But you know what brings me more joy? and what I know brings him more joy is the freedom, the ability to explore your world, the ability to be able to walk through a forest trail on a city sidewalk without being hindered by a leash, the ability to interact with my family and my guests, and even at work without the exception of being put up in a bedroom, in a laundry room, and not being allowed to interact. I think if Captain could talk, any dog that I've owned could talk. Freedom, baby. Freedom. It's the most important thing to us humans. It is the most important thing to your dog. Yet your dog will never know that freedom if you don't know for sure that you have absolute control over their actions while they're away from you. You will never know that, so therefore you will never permit it. When you have reliable obedience obtained only through a balanced training method, notice I said that, only through a balanced training method, will you and your dog know the freedom, the tranquility, the trustworthiness that comes with it. So guys, welcome to life. It's got good stuff, it's got bad stuff. It's part of it. When you train your dog, use what they would use what nature would use, a two-dimensional type approach. She rewards her wild canids, gives them a full belly, gives them shelter from the storm, gives them offspring, helps them to protect them. Give your dog all of those, but also give your dog what nature gives to her wild canids. The ability to avoid danger, the ability to know what is dangerous, and if I happen to get hurt, to absorb, move, hunt, and eat. Just like my mentor said all those years ago back in Alaska. He always said, it's the strong wolf that moves and lives. They do get hurt, and they get over it, and they move on, and they don't just survive, they thrive. Your dog can undergo the stressors of a reliable or a balanced training program and achieve that reliability, and they will move and be strong. And so will you. All right, that's it. I'm done. I rest my case. No more. Until I'm dragged back into it again. We're moving on to bigger and better things. And one of the first things I want to talk about in the upcoming video this week is about, hey, I love all you people who are out there safeguarding all these dogs, bringing all these dogs into your household. We've had those floods in Kentucky, how horrible. We've had wildfires. This darn country has been ravaged by one horrible event after another, and we have a lot of displaced dogs. And many of you have courageously stepped up and brought those dogs into your home. But unknowingly, you might have created a real problem, even a deadly problem. I want to talk about that. I've talked about it before. It's called the Nash equilibrium. I want to talk about that perfect number where everything works perfectly, and then all of a sudden where that number, kind of like the old straw that broke the camel's back, we have one too many. I'm going to go into detail about that so that you can make some really good, educated, and responsible decisions as to whether, I don't think I should foster another dog. Maybe you can foster that other dog. So let's do it. Do it for their welfare. Remember, that's what it's all about. Mutual welfare. Take care. Be safe out there. I'll see you next time.